Hi everybody. So I'm here today to talk to you about sustainability in water. So we're going to talk about what our customers are coming to talk to us about, how we've kind of grown and developed the business, and what you can do to proactively manage your water as a business. A little bit about me. I'm a project manager by trade, so I've got a design and construction background, and then I somehow ended up in water. One of my projects was actually to set up the Total Solutions team at United Utilities. That then evolved into the joint venture with Water Plus, and I've come along to be part of that and now lead the team. So the agenda for today, a bit about Water Plus, why we exist, a bit about the retail market for you. Then talk about my team, what our reason for being is and how we support our customers. And then we're going to talk about how we measure, monitor and manage water with our customers to allow them to achieve their goals for sustainability around finance and environmental objectives. Then I've got a case study to talk you through where we've supported a large multi-site customer, and then happy to take any questions that you've got. So Water Plus, as Miles just mentioned, we're a joint venture, 50-50 owned by two large parent companies, two big FTSE 100s, United Utilities and Severn Trent. The two leads came together, Steve Mogford and Liv, and decided going into the retail market they would form a joint venture together, partly because with the goal of bringing down a cost to serve. So we already knew what most of the retailers here will tell you, that there are not big margins to be found when you're tendering your water business. There's not kind of 10, 12% that you might have found in energy. The Scottish market, there are better margins. That's more well established. It's been up and running since 2008. But in England, it's very small, so there's not a lot to play with. So what we're finding is customers are asking us what else can they do, what else can they look for to support that saving. So we're the largest current retailer. We've got about 30% of the market share. We've got the two incumbent areas that you can see in blue on the map there of the United Utilities and Severn Trent areas, about 360,000 business customers. So we're a large player in the market. So far, this financial year, we've managed to save about 2.2 million in water efficiency. So that's not switching people in and giving them a saving on their bills. That's actually reducing the units that they're using and reducing their consumption and costs that way. So my team, we're called the Advanced Services team. We are there to support customers on their private site. So the wholesaler continues to look after the networks. They look after that up to the point of the meter, and anything on a customer's private side, if they have an incident, an accident, they're looking to save some money, that's where we would come in and support those customers. The team are all technical, so we're project managers. Most of the guys have come up through networks, so they've done leakage or smart metering or wastewater. They know their stuff, they're field-based, they are able to get out on site with a customer and quickly identify where there might be issues for that customer. We take health and safety incredibly seriously. We've come from United Utilities background. It's absolutely critical to our business. We've got a very good reputation for that with our customers. We get a lot of repeat business because we're safe on site and we manage our people well and our subcontractors well. We work with the Association for Project Management in terms of we all go through that training, and we also have a project management office incorporated in our integrated management system. We put everybody through IOSH, so the Managing Safely course, so they're able to audit subcontractors on site. And we have our ISO 9001 for quality, 14001 for environment, and OSAS 18001 for health and safety. So that's all contained within an integrated management system. It allows us to present to the outside world that we're externally accredited for health and safety, environment and quality. We take them very seriously. So what are our customers telling us? And particularly what's changed since the market's opened? Historically, when working for United Utilities, we were very focused on the reactive. So customers would call us when they had a problem. largely leakage or on the wastewater side, blocked drains, that kind of thing. It was all very much, I've got a problem, come and help me, because the wholesaler is not responsible for that customer's private network. Since market opening, with those retail margins being very slim, customers are starting to think differently. They're starting to be much more proactive. They're starting to come to us as part of their procurement process and say, what more can you give me? How else can I add value to our customers? So they're looking at reducing the consumption, so the number of units that they use, the amount of water that they use. They're also looking for better customer service. They might be talking about payment terms, that kind of thing. But the two specific objectives when it comes to sustainability for water are around financial, and particularly the likes of councils who've got huge austerity measures and cuts to make, and secondly, environmental. Every customer is different, so we will sit down and take a bespoke approach with every customer that we work with, and that will be one of our project managers who will help you to create a strategy for water with a plan that you can then go on to manage and measure against. So I've just said customer needs are unique. That's very true, but there are some real key themes. So I've used a couple of examples here. The first being an industrial customer, say a food and drink manufacturer, and their key deliverable is getting a delivery of food, whatever they are making, to, say, a large supermarket chain. If they don't hit that order, even for one day, there are big penalties involved that are sometimes up to a month's worth or a quarter's worth of the revenue that business is turning over. So the challenges for them are sometimes 24/7 production, or they're very reliant on water for their process, maybe even a certain quality of water. They have large sites. The industrial sites that we have in our customer base are often absolutely sprawling. They are sometimes, the original building is here, and then they've built additional buildings alongside, and they've lost track of what they're building where the network goes. So the kind of support that we provide to these guys are contingency planning, so that should the worst happen and they spring a big leak, the water stops coming through for production, we've got a plan in place that says, okay, they've got 8 hours storage, and then we turn up with tankard water for them. It's also things like our flood alert and severe weather system. So we plot our business customers' assets on an interactive map, and when a storm is coming their way or a flood is coming their way, we use the SEPA and the EA and the MET data to proactively ping them and let them know that something is going on. That enables them to, again, enact their contingency plan. We do a lot of process engineering with our industrial customers, so we're not just looking at how to save water for them, it's often about the quality of their effluent, the consents they have around trade effluent, and how can they reduce that, improve the way they're using the water and what's coming out the other side. Versus the likes of a multi-site high street retailer, so say a clothes shop with 100 sites. They're largely looking to get a good deal to bring their costs down, day-to-day business, just making sure that their stores stay open. And the type of work we tend to do with these guys is around benchmarking, so looking at the store in Oxford Street and saying, why is that one using twice as much as the store in central Manchester when they've got 50 members of staff each and a footfall of 500. So we're able to look at all of their assets like for like and benchmark them, say, okay, these are the worst 10% of your stores. Now let's get into the detail and have a look what's going wrong at these stores. Why are they using more water than the others? So developing a water management strategy, it's all around data. And those of you who are going through procurement or managing water on behalf of the business will know that data probably isn't a strength. We struggle. A lot of the meter reads are based on estimates. People don't tend to have 2 years' worth of bills, but we will work with whatever you've got basically to try and help you, find a way to review your data. So we'll sit down with a customer, talk at a high level about what their objectives are, and then we'll agree a baseline with them, which enables us to go on and measure against that baseline, monitor consumption and manage, so suggest projects and carry out projects to the customer to reduce that consumption and improve that water use and that visibility around the business as well. So how to measure water? So as we've just said, data's often non-existent pretty much. We'll take whatever we can get as a starting point. The ideal would be to have a smart metered estate, sub-metered and smart metered, so you know what each production line is using, what every floor on each office is using. But that isn't always affordable for customers. Using less than a certain amount a year, it's perhaps not worth doing. So we'll work with whatever data a customer has. And there are a few little tricks, like you can do your own meter reads. So you can do a weekly read and you can measure that. And you can do a leak check, so you can turn your stop tap off and see if your meter is still turning. And there are some kind of quick tricks, if you like, that would enable you to do your own benchmarking, really, to be able to say, okay, weekly, this store's using this, whereas this one is using half of that, why? Those are the ones to start investigating. Then we look at doing some water audits. So we do a lot of leak detection and repair. That's the below ground external leakage between the wholesaler's meter and the outside of the building. We also do the internal auditing, so that's going around checking fixtures and fittings, looking for leaks, and looking for opportunities to improve that kit that you've got in the internal plumbing. A lot of customers tell us they are water efficient, and that's because they've rolled out percussion taps 10 years ago. In reality, you need to be, technology's moved on, the times have moved on, and that kit that won't necessarily have a life cycle of 10 years, so it will be faulty. A lot of the internal issues we find are around urinals continually flushing, broken PIRs, the battery's gone in a PIR, which is the passive infrared where you pass it and it makes the urinal flush. And it doesn't sound like much, but it can actually add up to tens of thousands of pounds a year just by a urinal continually flushing. So the way we measure, as I say, take whatever data you've got, try and agree a baseline with the customer, but we do like to fix the obvious first. So if we can see this store has using twice as much as this one, there's likely to be leakage or something that we can go in and do a quick fix on. After that, we'd look to agree that as a baseline, that's the consumption, and then get into the detailed. So we provide tailored recommendations for each customer, encouraging people to proactively manage their water. Monitoring, it's a bit of a circle, really. You're continually measuring and monitoring, particularly if you've got your smart meters in. As soon as something goes wrong, you get an alert. So an alarm goes off, it sends an email through to you, and you know that your consumption is shot through the ceiling overnight. That's your flag to say, okay, who's going to go out and have a look at this for me? Who's going to tell me what's going wrong? And we do that on behalf of our customers. We sit and look over hundreds of alerts every day. So you're continually saying, here's my baseline, here is what I believe this business should be using every day. As soon as there's a change to that, you know you've got something to go and talk to the customer around. But continually monitoring as well means you're able to say, here's where we started, here's what we've implemented through our strategy, and now here's where we are. So you're able to demonstrate back to head of procurement, your FCO, whoever you're trying to impress, that you've actually made a valuable change through water, and it's made a financial saving and a positive environmental impact. So the management is just the ongoing. You can do as much or as little as you like. Competition has got people thinking about water, and more we're finding that they want to engage, they want to do more. A lot has been done with energy and not so much with water, so it's a really good opportunity for people to have a positive environmental impact by saying this is what we're attacking, and the less that's going in, the less that's going out, so it's a positive on the waste side as well. So fixing the obvious we've talked about. The water efficiency audits, sometimes we've had feedback that it's expensive to do the audits, or a lot of companies are out there offering gain shares, which people are wary of. We've developed an app with a partner which allows people to self-audit. So it's you carry an iPad round and you literally go through your fixtures and fittings. You can take photographs and save them to the app. It sends through a report to the techies, who then email out a report to you a week later that tells you, here are some areas where you could save, here's the kit that we recommend, and they give you a return on investment, which is the important thing. So you've got your business case right there to take to your head of procurement and get signed off. The reason for that was to make it easier for everybody to be water efficient, to get it out to as many people as we can. And we're, as a business, capturing all of those savings that we make through the app as part of one of our environmental objectives for our ISO 14001. Another way is proactively managing your network. So again, I'll use the industrial example. It's aged infrastructure. I can't tell you how many times we go back to the same site and fix a leak here, then fix a leak here, and then 3 weeks later, 10 metres down. After the second leak, we tend to encourage people to look at the condition of their network, and we can perform an asset condition survey for people and look to replace or enhance or renew, or sometimes it's just, build next to it. It sounds expensive to customers at first, but when you add up 10 leaks over 2 years, it's very quickly paid for itself. We talk to customers about recycling water and alternative water sources, so the likes of boreholes. Again, it tends to be the industrials where they've got the land and the opportunity there, or taking water from rivers, the recycled water and the rainwater harvesting. So there's a lot you can do if you've got the space and the will to do it. And absolutely about the contingency planning. The market changes have meant that the wholesaler won't go out to whoever shouts loudest anymore. They won't respond to business customers in an emergency unless there are vulnerable people on site, so hospitals, prisons, care homes, that kind of thing. So it absolutely means you need a robust contingency plan in place so that you know how your business is going to cope in the event of an emergency if you're left without water. And as I say, if you're industrial 24/7, or if you're a supermarket and you need to open for business in the morning, is absolutely critical. And why do all these things? Well, it helps to reduce your water consumption. It keeps you safe, it keeps you on supply. At the lowest level, it's good for PR. You don't want to be that company on the news dealing with an incident or not dealing with an incident. And any environmental objectives that you have, you can work and you can really make a difference, and you can prove where and how you've kind of reduced your consumption and waste. So a bit of a case study. We had a property management firm, a large one, about 250 sites based in a city centre. They had very poor data, very limited data, and they wanted to get a good handle on what their customers were using and if they had any problems within their estate. So they were actually paying for water, and their customers just paid them a rent. So it was in their interest to try and get a handle on that and manage their consumption. So we started with a rollout of smart meters, AMR, over about 150 of their sites, and these were all either offices or retail units, so shops and cafes and that kind of thing. Straight away, when the loggers were in, we started to identify some night lines, which is the kind of indication that if everybody's gone home at 6 o'clock from the office, why on earth are they using 4 cube of water every hour? So that gave us the kind of evidence to report back to them and say, here are where we think you've got some areas to target. Where we saw the big consistent night lines, we suspected leakage, so we then rolled out a programme of leak detection and repair for them, which was very successful. We then did the benchmarking, so we baselined, said this is what you should be using, we fixed the obvious. Did the benchmarking, which of these offices, retail units are still the kind of guilty culprits for using more water than others. And then we targeted the highest 10% of those, and we did the internal audits. So we went round water auditing, checking fixtures and fittings, checking water storage tanks. We look at the heating, boiling, any touch point with water, we'll go and have a look at it basically. And identified then a whole range of issues with urinals, leaking toilets, showers and so on, which their facilities management team then picked up and went and fixed, although we do that part as well. The result was consumption reduced by over 10%, so that's after we'd done the fixing the obvious. We don't kind of we count the leaks, but we keep them separate to the baseline. So we actually did the obvious stuff, and then we still managed to find a further 10% in savings for the customer. And I think that's it. So in summary, each customer is different. So we sit down and work with you based on your needs as a business and your objectives. If you're looking at going to tender or you're midway through a procurement exercise for water, think about the advanced services. Think about what you want to get out of your retailer, because that's where you're going to find the biggest saving than the couple of % margin that you might squeeze out of the retail contract. And we offer the full range of tools and techniques to help you to achieve those environmental and financial objectives. Thank you.
Jodi, thank you very much indeed. And my question is, your AMR, is it possible to use that to alert your customers to any catastrophic leaks, such as flooding in their property?
It's measures flow, so no. So it would tell you if you had a leak and suddenly water is just continuously disappearing below the ground, that's when it would flag. In terms of flooding, the flood alert system tells you by postcode area or OS map where there's a flood risk and what level of risk that is.
So I was talking about flooding from a catastrophic leak in your water system. No,
it tells you when you've got a leak, but it wouldn't be able to tell you where it was or what it was, no.
Thank you for Jodi. Round of applause.